Nice. Somehow we don't believe you. Oh, yeah. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the January Policy Committee meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order, and we'll begin with approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have Mr. Price on the phone. Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, now we need approval of the December 19th open session minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look over that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, policies for second review, 1-12, public participation at board meetings.
This policy came before you at the last meeting and then went to the board. I've received no recommendations for revision or changes of any kind by any stakeholder groups, and we would ask that this go to the board for approval at the February board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will make note to send that to the February board meeting.
February 4th.
4th. It's usually the first Tuesday of the month. Okay, policies for first review, 1-7, duties of the board secretary.
As you know, we're going, as we're making revisions to policy, we're doing things that were part of statutory changes from the last legislative session, as well as things that staff have brought. And then I started going back through again the policy manual. And so this had some of the other policies I looked at had some other pieces that the board secretary, i.e. the superintendent, does that were not in ours. And so it seemed to make sense to be more comprehensive in the policy. And so those are the proposed changes in this. And we would ask that this go for review at the February 4th meeting.
I have a couple little nits.
Sure.
The first line, second sentence, it's just instead of he/she, just say the superintendent.
Sure.
And there's another one at the last paragraph, first line, same thing.
Yep.
And in each place it should say or designee. So in the last paragraph, first line should say the superintendent or
Sure.
designee. And then in the second paragraph, the beginning as secretary to the board, the superintendent or designee shall.
Okay.
Those are my only changes.
Okay.
I move that we send this to the full board for first review.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, policy 1-9, committees.
Okay, when I was looking at our committee policy, our policy only dealt with special committees and not the regular committees of the board. So then I added the red, which is the regular committees of the board. And I apologize, I made a mistake. The first sentence in paragraph 2, I was thinking that we did these on an annual basis, but it's biannual, so I'll fix that. That was my error. I didn't remember how often you reappointed committees. So that was to try and do this. And the parts on here that are the board chair came from the board chair policy for the board. And so I've tried to make it more comprehensive. And we would ask that this go for review at the February 4th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, policy 1-11, closed sessions.
Okay. As I was reviewing other policies on this, I realized that we missed a component of closed session, which was the potential terrorist activity. So I added that. That's the first red paragraph on page 2 under emergency response plans. And so I wanted to make sure that that was enumerated as a reason the board can go into closed session. And then I just added some other components that we did not have in our policy, which the other districts that I saw had in theirs. And so this also would be a recommendation that it go to the board for review at the February 4th meeting.
I like the changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm moved that this should go to the full board for a first review.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 4-8, child abuse.
Okay, and this comes at, due to some statutory changes regarding primarily sex trafficking. And so I have added the components that have changed. This, as you recall, this was reviewed earlier, kind of mid last year, due to some statutory changes. And then we got some more statutory changes. So some of the changes we made have been changed yet again. So this all deals with law changes and statutory changes, and I think some state board policy changes. And so we would ask that this go for review at the February 4th meeting as well.
So moved.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Policy 5-1, selection of instructional materials.
Yes, after the last board meeting, I sent this back to the academics division with your concerns. And they have tried to, I think, address most of them. And so this is here for your review. I've talked to Ms. Heintel about some revisions that we can go through at this point that we're going to make before the meeting.
And I'll just give you, it's really quick. In
Yep.
the very first thing at the top, I think that the second sentence in the red should go first. The board strives to provide instructional materials that will enrich and support the curriculum and enhance student learning, because the media program is one component of instructional materials. So we could probably just cross off the first sentence and just leave the second one, if that's okay. And then we've divided it into 3 categories: core instructional, supplemental, and media. And so in the criteria, beginning on page 3, unless anyone has anything before that, the supplemental material should come before the media collection, just to keep everything in the same order throughout the document. And we should delete for supplementary on page 5, delete and or media collections, because it's just supplementary.
So we're going to switch Roman numeral paragraph 5 with Roman numeral paragraph
6,
4. and
correct.
switch
4,
around.
yes,
Yep.
sorry, yes.
Yep.
Correct. Just to keep everything in the same.
Yep.
And then on page 6 of 8, under E1, in the penultimate sentence of that, the second sentence, we should just delete that, because the review committee consists of an administrator. So an administrator should be there, must be there. So delete that. And in there on page 6 of 8, up at the top, get rid of and or media collection materials as well. And here's the thing that I'm going to throw out. On page 7 of 8, number 6, we talked about this at the last meeting when it went back to have some questions answered. The complainant, so if a parent has a concern about some instructional materials we have, the complainant cannot participate in the committee's deliberation of their complaint. They get to come and make a statement and say why they think that we shouldn't have this particular material, but they don't get to hear why it's going to be kept or not kept. Is that something we want a parent or a complainant to have or not have? I'm just throwing it out there.
What example would they not be allowed to?
Anytime, well, the way it currently reads that unless the committee asks them to stay, any review of a questioned media material would not allow for the parent or the complainant to be present.
So it's kind of like an appeal for us, where the parent comes in, gives us their reason why they think this material shouldn't be there, and then they're excused.
And then the board deliberates.
And then the committee
Right,
deliberates.
the committee deliberates, yes.
Same structure.
Yeah. And they feel that allows for more open communication of the committee.
And that's fine, we can leave it.
So however you want to do it.
We can leave it. That was all I had.
It says unless invited, so I say leave it.
I move that we send this to the board for first review with those changes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, proposed new policy, fixed asset inventory.
Yes, I was going through our policies and realized we did not have a fixed asset inventory policy. And Shauna was actually surprised we didn't have it either. We have some in our audit materials. We have kind of the procedures. And so I drafted a policy that was consistent with those procedures. Shauna and her team have reviewed it, and I'm recommending that this go for the board for review at the February 4th meeting.
The second line of the introductory should
Yep.
just be capitalized board and get rid of education.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah.
Okay, and should it be the superintendent or designee? Because it's going to be the CFO
Yeah.
and all the bookkeepers that are doing it, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And the same thing in C record, Kate, maybe
Yep.
it should say the superintendent or designee. Do we only defer to the superintendent, right? So it wouldn't say that it should be the CFO because this is really within the confines of,
Yeah, you delegate to the superintendent, and the
Okay.
superintendent can delegate to
Okay.
his team.
I move that we send this to the board for first review.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, action items to the full board. We will send policy 1-12 for second review to the February 4th meeting. And policies 1-7, 1-9, 1-11, 4-8, 5-1, and the new proposed policy for fixed assets for first review. Okay, our next meeting date will be February 26th here at the PDC at 9 a.m. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.